might not time block. You may have never even heard of the Pomodoro method, and the Eisenhower matrix might not be for you. But no matter what productivity techniques you use, I'm pretty sure you've got a to-do list. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel where you are what matters. Today we're going to be talking about how you can finally get control of your to-do list. And remember, if you want to increase your motivation, boost your productivity, and reduce your overall stress, get started now by hitting the subscribe button below. Tell me, seriously, down in the comments, let me know, what does your to-do list look like right now? Is it a sheet of paper that has so much stuff on it you don't even know where to start? Or is it a productivity app on your phone where every time you open up your phone, you get distracted by something else instead? Or is it just 8 million things floating around in your head? Well, if you feel like no matter what you do, you can never get control of your to-do list, today I've got some options for you. The fact that there are so many productivity apps out there should clue you into the fact that there is no one-size-fits-all option for productivity. This is very much a try-it-before-you-buy-it system, and you're going to have to test out probably a couple methods to figure out what works for you. I feel like this is pretty much true of everything in life, which is why I'm always going to give you multiple options for handling struggles in your life. And today is no different, but today I'm not necessarily talking about what's the best app or list or journal or whatever, as I am talking about a process that you can put your to-dos through from request or idea through completion so you can figure out what is the most effective use of your time. The first part of this process is just dealing with everything that's coming at you. We are constantly being bombarded with requests or demands on our time in the case of a boss or a toddler, because they're pretty much the same thing. The chronically overworked among you are probably taking every single request and idea that comes in, putting it on your to-do list, and somehow getting it done, even if that means that you're sacrificing sleep and self-care in the process. But if you're operating like this, you're not managing your to-do list, it's managing you. To start to get this under control, the first thing to do is to have a central list where as soon as a request or an idea comes in, it goes on that list. Now, this is a good time for me to remind you that just because someone asks you to do something does not mean that you have to say yes. Obviously, things from clients or your job or like paying the electricity bill because they're going to turn it off are sort of a big deal, and yes, they have to be done. But not everything needs to be done by you or at all. So choose a time, probably once in the morning and maybe once in the afternoon if you want to do it twice a day, to go through that central to-do list and decide what are the 1 to 3 most important things that you need to get done in the next chunk of work time. Then once you've got these things done, if you still have time, you can certainly go back to your central list and look for some more options, but you'll at least know that you got the most important things done instead of just scrambling and grabbing things off of the list. If you struggle to figure out what is the most important thing and what to focus the time on, I'm going to put a video up in the cards that you can look at to help you put your to-dos through a process that will help you decide which things need to be focused on. Just remember that if you say no, when you say no to something, that it's going to probably generate another to-do item. The difference is that writing a 3-minute email saying no to that meeting is a lot less strenuous and a lot less time-consuming than attending a 2-hour meeting you didn't really need to be in. As part of the time where you're spending picking out the most important things on your to-do list, it's also a good time to get your list organized. Now, obviously, this is going to be very much up to you, and it's totally a personal decision, but there are 2 common ways to do this. The first one is to break the list up into personal items and business items. This really shortens the amount of things that you have to weed through at any given time, because during business hours, you're not looking at your personal to-do list, and during your personal time, you're not looking at emails you have to send to your boss. Hopefully, you should definitely not be doing that. However, if you run your own business or work from home or your time is more your own, it might make more sense to break things down based on what they are. So you could have a list of phone calls, emails, errands that you have to run, so that when you get ready and go out, you're getting everything done. When you pick up the phone, you get all those phone calls done, or you sit down to your computer and you bang out all of your emails at once. This can even be taken to a weekly or a monthly level. For example, why cook every single night when you could cook for the week or even the month? Now, this is not going to work for everything, but take a look at your to-do list and see if anything on there can be done way in advance. Think about when you might have time to knock a big chunk of it out so that you can get it off your plate for a while and focus on some other things. Are you overwhelmed yet? Are you ready to go hide or binge watch something for hours and hours and hours? If you feel like that, don't worry. Procrastination is a completely normal response to stress. Even if everything on your list is easy, the sheer volume of it might be enough to make you want to run away. The fact is that most of us have 150 items on our to-do list at any one given time. 150. It seriously might not feel like that, especially if you're accomplishing a bunch of to-dos on an everyday basis, but you're probably not considering those vague things that are floating around in your head that you want to get done sometime in the future. I don't sit down every day with my to-do list to make my plan and put down that I need to paint the ceiling and the foyer, but there it is, lingering in the back of my mind. The thing is, those things that are floating around your head are part of your mental weight, which can contribute to you getting overwhelmed. Our brains are amazing for creativity and problem solving, but as far as storage devices, they pretty much suck. I seriously can't remember 3 things to put on my grocery list by the time I pick up my phone and open it. You can't be expected to mentally keep track of 150 items. So then what happens? The thoughts swirl and swirl around your head while your brain desperately tries to remember all of those things that you thought up that you wanted to do at some point. And then they just start to come to the surface at random times when you really don't even have the energy to think about them. Because if you think about it, a lot of those things aren't these little somethings like write an email or make a phone call. They're big projects like paint the ceiling or paint the foyer. Because this isn't just one little to-do that I can just check off. I've got to pick out swatches and test colors and prime the walls and clean and figure out how to get that one high spot in the corner without buying a scaffolding. Okay, seriously, look at this. No freaking way. And then by the time I think about all this, screw it, I'm overwhelmed. But if I take that list of things and I put it down on a piece of paper, my brain will chill the hell out for a minute because it knows that it no longer has to hold on to all of those items. They are there safe on the piece of paper. And what happens when you relax? You're able to think more clearly. You're more able to make rational decisions. All of that stuff that was swirling around your head, driving you crazy, seems a little more clear and a little less scary. Then you're able to evaluate the list and see what doesn't actually need to be done now or at all, and then see what the things are on that list that are actually important. This writing everything down can be the first thing that you do before you start planning your day in the morning. Or if you're like me, as soon as you lay down, you remember all of the things that need to be done and all of the things that you didn't do, and you can't get to sleep. In that case, you keep a pen and paper next to your bed, and before you go to bed every night, then you write down everything that's floating around your brain. The great thing is that you'll sleep better because you won't have to worry about forgetting everything that you remembered the night before. Now, not to turn this into a brain bashing session because what we have is absolutely amazing, but our brains are not so good at estimating time. The problem is we don't have a good idea about how long something takes unless we've actually timed it out. In our heads, fun things will be easy and take way less time, and things that are hard will take 1,000,000 years. And to make matters worse, the bigger the project is, the worse we are at figuring out how long something's going to take. This will make your efforts at time blocking or figuring out how much you can actually accomplish in your day pretty much pointless. So pick tasks that you do frequently, and then when you go to do them, set a timer. Do this about 5 times so that you can really get a good average or range of how long that project takes you. It's also good to take note of how long it takes you to, say, write a blog post when you're super focused and you don't have any interruptions. and how long it takes you when your kid interrupts you every 5 minutes or so, or your brain just won't work. Then you can use these numbers to time block or plug them into your calendar so that you're sure that you're leaving yourself enough time to get something done, so that you're not always pushing a deadline because you didn't realistically set enough time for you to complete that task. Okay, so we have talked about all of the preparation that it takes to get ready for your to-do list. But the one thing that we haven't talked about is how to make the actual list. Now, this probably sounds pretty ridiculous, right? Like you just take stuff off of the giant brain dump list and put it on your to-do list and then you do it, right? But a lot of people make a big mistake when it comes to making the actual to-do list, and that is that they put big projects or goals on their to-do list. To-dos are meant to be small, bite-sized chunks of a larger project. Now, sometimes you'll get a to-do that has absolutely nothing to do with a larger project, but for the most part, they are small pieces that are sending you in a particular direction. I mean, even if you were throwing a party and you just put down "get ready for the party," that would be super overwhelming. You wouldn't know where to start or when you were done. I mean, are you done the day before, or when the food's ready, or when the guests arrive? Who knows? If there are big projects or little projects or goals even on your brain dump list and you're ready to get started on those things, then it's time to break them down into individual actionable tasks. But if I go back to the paint the entryway example, which I'm clearly obsessed about and should probably just do already, but I could make a to-do list like get the paint chips and buy the samples and try the samples and pick a color and clean the walls and prime the walls, etc. These are to-dos. These are something that you could realistically put on a list. You'll know where to start and when you're done. The great thing about making this giant to-do list that will help you get through the project is that now you can take a look at all those individual to-dos and start grouping them by action. So that, for example, you get all of the errands that you need to run in one pile and all the things that you need to buy, so that you're not going back to Home Depot 42 times in a weekend. All right, so you've got your to-do list, you're knocking stuff out, you're super efficient, but you're starting to get demotivated. I mean, if you think about it, if you're always gonna have 150 things on your to-do list and that every time you cross something out, something else shows up, why bother? Well, first of all, there are always to-dos that you have to do, or they, shut off the power, for example. So you can't avoid some of them forever, but more so because all the little to-dos that you do on a daily and a weekly and a monthly basis are usually, like I said, headed you towards a bigger goal. And if you don't do the little to-dos, then you're never going to get to the bigger goal. So while I've talked and talked and talked today about only putting 1 to 3 things on your most important to-do list, I'm pretty sure you're still going to be getting some other stuff done. If you're a busy mom like me, your 1 to 3 things are probably interspersed between things like laundry or phone calls or emails or dishes or science fair projects or all of the above. So you might get to the end of your day and think about that one really important thing that you were working on and say to yourself, I only did one thing today. Why am I so tired? Well, it's because you're not thinking about all the other things that you actually did do today. Enter the done list. Have you ever written down a to-do that you've already done on your list just so you can have the satisfaction of crossing it out? The done list is that level of satisfaction. What I want you to do is sit down at the end of your day and write out everything that you did that day. Big tasks, little tasks, doesn't matter. Just write it all down on a list and then take a look at that and reflect on it. You will get an immense level of satisfaction from seeing all of the stuff that you accomplished in that day. And that satisfaction will help motivate you to go after your to-dos tomorrow. If you want to up this practice, after you've written down all those dones, you could add on 3 things that you were grateful for or 3 things that made you happy that day, and then spend some time reflecting on those things. This is not a very long practice, but it will give you a big boost in both motivation and overall happiness. All right, guys, question of the day. What is your favorite productivity tool It doesn't matter if it's an app or a planner or a list or whatever. Let us know down in the comments below and feel free to leave links. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead down and hit the like button. And if you want to increase your motivation, boost your productivity, and reduce your overall stress, hit the subscribe button too. Make sure that you check out the description box below because I'm going to have a link to a bunch of resources around to-do lists, including articles and videos. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, you guys, can I just say that filming this video has been like the equivalent of writing like a 15-page term paper and then having your computer crash and losing everything. So I will just say that if you really do only get one thing done off of your to-do list, it's totally cool. Make sure that it's the most important thing. All of the requests and demands that come in, people make a big mistake when it comes to making the actual to-do. Time to section them out into actual individual and prime the walls and the chronically, oh my God, curly hair.